My name's Mackenzie, and I started a GoFundMe for the adoptive mother of a nonverbal autistic child. The mother had lost her job because she wasn't able to find adequate care for this autistic child. So she really needed some help with living expenses, paying some back bills. So I launched a GoFundMe to help support them during this crisis. And we raised about $10,000 within just a couple of months. I think that the surprising thing was by telling a clear story and just really being very clear about what we needed, we had some really generous donations from people who were really moved by the situation that this family was struggling with.
GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform trusted by over 200 million people. Start your GoFundMe today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. GoFundMe.com. This podcast is supported by GoFundMe.
This is the new Weight Watchers, built for real life and real results, no matter what mode you're in. Maddie went all in for her big day and lost 33 pounds. Emily lost 85 pounds and hit her goal while still living her life.
Weight Watchers gave me the tools and I feel amazing.
Join the millions of members and lose weight with the #1 doctor-recommended weight loss program. Lose more at WeightWatchers.com.
At 6 months, participants in a clinical trial of Weight Watchers program lost an average of 12 pounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, we're going to talk about 80s babies and the life of an 80s baby. Now, full disclosure, I was born in the 70s, but I was raised in the 80s. So I'm a child of the 80s. But that's what they called us. The children of the 80s, we were referred to as 80s babies. So I just want to get that clear. From time to time on this podcast, I will come on here and kind of give you some insight, you, the listener, to what it was like to live in a certain time, a certain era. And the reason why I do that is because, one, it's fun to always reminisce, because I'm a firm believer if you don't know where you've come from, you surely can't know where you're going. But you also get an appreciation for that particular period of time when things weren't as easy or as cool. And then for some, I want to educate you because, to be honest, a lot of you weren't around in the 80s. Maybe your parents hadn't met, or maybe your parents had met, but your dad just hadn't let loose yet. Or maybe you were around in the 80s and you were too lame to come outside, right? So I know a lot of times when people talk about the 80s, or not just the 80s, but when they talk about how they grew up and where they grew up, you hear them talk about, how bad things were and how traumatic their childhood was. I don't have that story. I grew up in a really, really cool time in a cool era. And it was just, for me, it was dope. As many of you know, or maybe you don't know, I grew up in a small town, place called Florence, South Carolina. It's a really small place, but it seemed like it was so huge. While I was born in New Jersey, Florence is where I called home the majority of my childhood. And what was interesting was I grew up in two different neighborhoods. The first neighborhood that I can remember from the time that we moved from New Jersey when I was 3 until I got to 4th grade. We lived in these apartment complexes, or what people would call the projects. Now, I'll be honest, the projects that I lived in Florence, it wasn't Cabrini Green. It wasn't, it wasn't, what's the place? It wasn't Queensbridge, but it was the projects for Florence. I'll put it like that. But what was interesting was when you look back, or at least when I look back on it, it was low income housing. It was, black people, a lot of I wouldn't say a lot. Quite a few of my friends, they came from 2-parent households, but it was just, low income families just trying to make it. But there was a sense of community. There was a sense of everybody getting along. There was a sense of everybody looking out for each other. So the neighborhood was really, really cool. We played games and we ran outside. And I mentioned on previous podcasts, like outside was the best place to be. What was going on outside? Everything. So, you wanted to go outside and play with your buddies. But no, I didn't grow up in the, there was no gunshots and stabbings and fights and stuff like that. I mean, if it happened, we were definitely shielded from it. I don't recall ever seeing a fight, at least with adults or young adults. Kids get into fights, but that's different. But it was a cool neighborhood. And I mean, like, again, looking back on it, it was the projects, but it didn't feel like the projects because everybody kind of had the same thing, and looking back on it, we really didn't have a lot, but it seemed like we had everything because, like, for me, there was nothing as a child that I wanted that I didn't get. So my parents made sure that we had love and we had, food and everything like that. But, when it came to material things, I had everything that I wanted. I had bikes, I had toys, I had, everything. It was just me and my brother Damon, who's almost 3 years younger than me. So it was just us and our parents. And but it was a cool neighborhood. Again, everybody looked out for each other. One of the cool things about the 80s was if you got into trouble and your neighbor saw you, your neighbor could spank you. And subsequently, you've embarrassed the family and shamed the family. So you probably going to get a spanking once you got home as well. It went down just like that. That was one of the dope things about the 80s. Another dope thing about the 80s was I remember being a little kid, and particularly like in the summertime when the street lights came on, you had to be in the house. Like there was no such thing as just kind of just hanging out. No, that didn't happen. When the street lights came on, you needed to be in the house, period. If not, if your mother had to come looking for you, it was going to be a problem. But again, it was just a cool neighborhood. Everybody, got along for the most part. And again, we didn't really have a lot. I remember people, and I remember even us getting the government cheese, the big block of cheese that you would get. And that was some good cheese, man. I don't know why people front on the government cheese, but we weren't on welfare. I mean, my parents worked. To be honest, I don't even know how much money they made. I'm assuming they didn't make a lot of money because we lived in the projects for a few years. But again, we always had food. It wasn't like, we had, problems or anything like that. It was a great childhood and I enjoyed every moment of it. All of my memories are great memories. So, I feel a little sad sometimes when I hear people talk about their childhood and they talk about, dealing with gun violence and drugs. And again, I came up in the crack era. I lived in the projects during the crack era. And was there crack there? Oh, I'm sure that there was. This was the 80s. This was the Ronald Reagan administration. So I'm sure that there was crack in the projects where I lived. I didn't see it. We didn't see junkies. So, it was a different day and time. And again, we had a lot of fun. One of my favorite memories was I remember this was 1981 and I'll never forget it. I remember they came to the crib and they installed cable TV. That was so dope. And I remember one of the favorite channels was this channel where they actually played music videos. It was called MTV, a novel concept. They actually played videos at one point in time. But it was dope. It was dope. Getting cable TV, one of my greatest memories, because we went from having the TV with the antenna on the top, and you could only get like ABC, NBC, CBS, and like UHF. You could get like 4 channels. That was it. And then when we got cable TV, man, you could get all the channels, and it was dope. And you had to actually physically get up and change the channel, but it was dope nonetheless. Another great memory from, being young and being in my neighborhood was, and I talked about it on a previous podcast, was getting, one Christmas, we got the Atari 2600. By far, even to this day, it is the best Christmas gift that I've ever received in my life. The Atari 2600 is greater than sliced bread. But yeah, it was a great neighborhood, great memories. Again, the 80s were a great time, and I'm glad that, we got a chance to see it and live through it. One of the dopest memories from being an 80s baby was the first day of school. The first day of school was always interesting because of a couple of things. One of the first things that kind of stands out that I remember about the first day of school is that unless you saw your friends, who lived in your neighborhood, most of your friends, you didn't see them from the time that the school year ended to the time that school started. So you had like a 3-month gap where you didn't see most of your friends. Only my friends in my neighborhood, those were the only friends that I saw. Everybody else, you didn't see them again until you might run into somebody at the mall or something like that. But for the most part, you weren't going to see your friends at all. So it was always dope to see your friends that first day of school. There was always a nervous energy, if you will. For me, I always woke up early, extra early on the first day of school. And so that was one of the reasons why I look forward to the first day of school, because in the 80s, it was really, really a dope time. One of the things that made it dope was your gear. Like, you had to have some dope gear on the first day of school. Like, there was no such thing as wearing old clothes. Like, everybody wore their new clothes, their new quote unquote school clothes, not their play clothes. I wish I had time to talk about play clothes, because play clothes and school clothes are 2 different clothes. But yeah, it was, you had to wear your new gear. And everybody always had, new clothes. And it was always interesting to see people in their new clothes. Now, as I got older and as we moved into the 90s, one of the trends was not to wear all of your new clothes on the first week of school. But no, in the 80s, we didn't care. It was always, you always had to wear your new gear. And I distinctly remember one of my good friends, even to this day, in 2nd grade, my first day of school in 2nd grade, my mom bought me a brand new, it was a yellow t-shirt. And on the t-shirt, it had a picture of Lando Calrissian from Star Wars, aka Billy D. Williams. No Colt 45 in this one. But yeah, so I had the dope Star Wars Lando Calrissian t-shirt on, and some jeans and some Nikes. And I had the I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had the Air Force Ones. And so I remember one of my good friends, and I'll be honest, like I didn't have and still don't have a lot of white friends. But the first white friend that I ever made was my boy Sean. Sean came up to me and he said, yo, I mean, he didn't say it like this, but I'm paraphrasing. He said, yo, that's a dope t-shirt. And we just became friends after that. He thought that the Lando Calrissian t-shirt was dope, which it really was. I mean, nobody else was rocking Billy D on the first day but me. But yeah, man, it was Sean and I bonded off of that t-shirt. And it's funny because I lost contact with Sean many years ago, and we found each other. Well, he found me on Facebook. And one of the first things he said was, because we lost each other after high school, we lost touch when we went to college. And he said, yeah, man, I still remember you in that Lando Calrissian t-shirt. And it's so funny to me because I remember when I'm going to the store with my mom to buy that shirt, and I wanted to wear it before school actually started. My mom was like, no, you can't wear this before school starts, but you can wear it the first day. And I couldn't wait until the first day so I could rock my Lando shirt. So, yeah, shout out to Lando. Shout out to Sean. Another great memory for an 80s baby such as myself from the first day of school was the new girl. Every year there was a new girl or new girls that came to your school. So for me, I don't know why, but I made it a point to always try to talk to the new girl. And, you know, some years it worked, some years it didn't work, but I always wanted to talk to the new girl. And I mean, when I say talk, I wanted to get close to them. I think in 5th grade, the new girl became my girlfriend. She was really, really cute. And she had a jerry curl, but I didn't care. So, yeah. Yeah, that was my thing, man. I always wanted to talk to the new girl because this was my philosophy on this. This is the way I looked at it. Like, if the new girl is in your class and she doesn't know anybody, you got to be the first one to get to know her, because if you can push up on her before anybody else, you got a leg up on the competition. Because I'm pretty sure she's coming there. She's probably moved from somewhere else. She doesn't have a boyfriend. And so if you can get close to her, you're in. So, yeah, that was my thing, man. I made it a point to try to talk to the new girl. And again, I was successful a couple of years, but that was one of the things that I did on the first day. I always tried to make sure that, I would go over and welcome the new girl to the class, welcome her to the school, or whatever the case may be. And what little bit of game that I had back then, yeah, I would try to kick game. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, great memories. 80s babies, new girls, and the first day of school. One of the dope things about being an 80s baby was your Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings were always interesting because of what was on the television set on Saturday mornings. I'm not sure if y'all are aware of this, but cartoons actually came on Saturday mornings. Unlike, today, where cartoons don't come on network TV on Saturday mornings anymore because they have their own networks and whatever the case may be. It was a staple of my childhood in the 80s, and I really enjoyed it. I had my own little ritual. But yeah, Saturday mornings was the joint. I would get up, and I always found it interesting that, like, my mom would have to fuss at me about getting up during the school week. Like, she'd have to come and wake me up 2 or 3 times for me to get up during the school week. But on Saturdays, man, I was up at 6 o'clock. And nobody needed to wake me up. I didn't need an alarm clock. I didn't need anything. I would get up on my own because it was prime time. It was Saturday morning. You had to get ready. So I would come down, get out of the bed. I had a bunk bed, me and my brother. I would be on the top bunk and come down my little steps. Sometimes I'd wash my face and brush my teeth. Other times I would not care. I get my little blanket. I'm in my little pajamas and drawers or underoos, whatever the case may be. And then from there, you turn the TV on, you get your cereal, and you plop down in front of the TV, and you're pretty much in front of the TV the entire morning. For me, I loved cartoons. Cartoons was a staple of my childhood, and it was a staple of the 80s, to be honest. From cartoons, I would watch, probably my favorite cartoon of all time, Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes. Love Bugs Bunny. And then I would watch the Super Friends. Super Friends were so dope. So dope. I never was a fan of the Smurfs, although the Smurfs were extremely popular. I would watch everything from Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids to what was that? The Harlem Globetrotters cartoon, the Jackson 5 had a cartoon. I would literally spend the entire morning. If it was a dope cartoon, I was watching it. Now, my brother was a huge fan of He-Man. He was a huge fan of what was that? He-Man and the it was another cartoon that he loved. He liked the Smurfs. I didn't particularly care for the Smurfs. But I would watch the Flintstones, the Jetsons, again, Super Friends, Batman and Robin. Pretty much Saturday mornings, you were in front of the TV from anywhere from 6 a.m. till about noon. And then down south where we lived, wrestling would come on. And notice I didn't say wrestling because it's not wrestling, it's wrestling. But yeah, we watched the wrestling after that. So, but the Saturday morning cartoons were a staple, man. I really, it's interesting now that, Tom and Jerry, I forgot about Tom and Jerry. It's interesting now that, over these last 10, 15, 20 years, with things like the Cartoon Network, you don't have cartoons on Saturday mornings. And, honestly, me being a father, I feel like, my kids are deprived. Like they don't know, there's no excitement for them waking up on Saturday mornings. They just get up and be like, okay, well, what's on Netflix, whatever the case may be. But it was a great time, man. Great time. Now, if you're going to talk cartoons, you got to talk about cereal. I wasn't one that ate a lot of stuff other than cereal for breakfast. I mean, like my mom would cook, grits and eggs and bacon and sausage and stuff like that. But Saturday mornings, we were, because our parents tended to, sleep in, I guess. We were up early. So, you're not going to get up and fix yourself. You're not going to cook pancakes for yourself. But what you would do you would be in a position where you would make yourself some cereal. And so for me, cereal was the thing. Obviously, it's easy to make. You really can't make a mess, even though you can. But, you're not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to burn the house down by making cereal. Like some of my favorite cereals, Frosted Flakes, all-time favorite, Captain Crunch. No Crunch Berries. I hate Crunch Berries. Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, Rice Krispies. Shout out to Rice Krispie treats. Never was a fan. I like Dig 'em Smacks. Some people didn't like that. That was an acquired taste, but I like Dig 'em Smacks. Fruity Pebbles. Love Fruity Pebbles. But yeah, some people they didn't really take to different types of cereals. Like I remember one year my mom bought you ever had a situation where your parents buy like the knockoff cereal? Well, my mom bought us this knockoff Captain Crunch. It was called King Vitamin. And it was trash. Cornflakes, just the regular cornflakes from Kellogg's, trash. What else was trash? I never was a fan of like Cookie Crisp or I was one of the few people of my friends. I like Raisin Bran. Big fan of Raisin Bran because I like raisins. As I've gotten older, I've come to find out that a lot of people don't like raisins for some strange reason. I'm not sure why. Raisins are dope. But yeah, man, we would load up on the cereal, man, and that would be breakfast. Like when my parents got up, yeah, they would cook breakfast. But for the most part, if we got up on Saturday mornings, breakfast was on us. And as long as we had cereal and we had milk, we were good. I do remember, because my brother and I had such different tastes for cereal, we would get our own boxes. So that was kind of interesting, like where my friends, they ate whatever their parents bought, they had to eat. But if my brother liked, let's say Crunch Berries, which I hated Crunch Berries, and I wanted Frosted Flakes, like I would get a box of Frosted Flakes, he'd get a box of Crunch Berries, and I wouldn't eat his cereal, he wouldn't eat mine. And so that's how we did it. And, while that might have been a little bit more than what you would want to spend at the grocery store, it worked for us. And we really rarely had any problems. But, cereal and your Saturday morning cartoons, definitely staples for an 80s baby. This may come as a surprise to you, but I got my first kiss in the 80s. I was like 7. And I've talked about it on previous podcasts, so I won't get into too much detail. But I got my first kiss in the 80s, man. I had a girlfriend who lived in New Jersey. Her name was Janet. And Janice was so cute. I can't remember Janice's last name. So Janice, if you're listening, hit me up. Nonetheless, Janice was, she lived next door to one of our family friends. And I still had family in New Jersey. We would go to New Jersey every summer. Shout out to Newark. And so, that's where we would spend our summers. And this particular summer, I was 7. I think she was 6, about to turn 7. And I'd been up there for the summer, and it was time for us to go because we headed back to South Carolina. And I spent, that summer, I remember just every day just hanging out with Janice. I mean, she was just the coolest, and she was so cute, and she had these nice big ponytails, and she had the big prettiest eyes, and she would laugh, and like we just had a good time. And so we're getting ready to go. And so I walked over to her house, and, I told her, we were about to go. And so she said, well, before you go, we should kiss. Kiss? What do you mean kiss? And she said, well, we should kiss like they do on the soap operas. She said stories, but I'm going to say soap operas. And so I was like, okay. And so what I did was my cousin Eric, who is always around when it's time for me to get into trouble or do something dirty. Shout out to Eric. I told Eric to play lookout, right? So Eric plays lookout. We went in this little shed in her backyard, and I told Eric, don't peek, because, really at that age, if you were getting your first kiss, you didn't want nobody to see it because you didn't want anybody to tell on you. Not that I thought Eric was going to tell on me. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we shot a gun in the house. I mean, he wasn't going to tell on me. Eric, if nothing else, has always been ride or die for me. Nonetheless, so he played lookout. And so we went in the shed, and she leaned over and she gave me a kiss, and I gave her a kiss. And our lips just pressed, and it was just so magical. And it was funny when I think back on it, and I tell the story all the time. Like, Janice and I never broke up, right? So even at 7, I moved, I came back to South Carolina, and I saw her the following summer, and, we would see each other, and we lost contact because I think what happened was the place where she lived, she moved. And I heard that she had a baby when she was in high school. But as far as I know, Janice and I are still together, in spite of me being married. Go figure. But yeah, first kiss, 80s. That was for me. It was dope. Now, I can't let a conversation about the 80s go without speaking on my crushes, my celebrity crushes in the 80s, because Janice was my first crush, first girl that I was just really, really crazy about. And I mean, not that I want to talk to her or anything, but I mean, like, I'm very much interested in how her life turned out. So Janice, if you're listening, hit me up on Twitter. Nonetheless, I had some celebrity crushes, man. And I had quite a few, but I'll just touch on 3. And then these are in no particular order. Just about every little boy that I knew had a crush on Thelma from Good Times. Man, listen, it didn't get any finer than Thelma from Good Times. I mean, like, you would be hard pressed to find a woman like Thelma from Good Times. And it's interesting because she was so much older than me, but she didn't really seem like it because she was on TV. So I didn't care about any of that. But yeah, man, Thelma from Good Times. She, even to this day, she is still a beautiful woman. And I'm pretty sure she gets told a lot about how much, dudes were crushing on her in the 80s. And I think Good Times came on in the 70s and probably went off air in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember seeing it until the 80s. But yeah, man, Thelma from Good Times, dime piece. My next crush, Kim Fields, aka Tootie from the Facts of Life TV show. Man, Tootie was so fine. I had the biggest crush on Tootie. And of course, like I said, the first time I saw her was she was on the show The Facts of Life. She was the only black girl on The Facts of Life. Then again, her name is Kim Fields. I'm sorry, Thelma is played by Bernadette Stannis. But yeah, Tootie, man, listen, I remember watching The Facts of Life, and I was watching it with my cousin Eric, and we were both arguing about whose girlfriend Tootie was, because I claimed her first. He said he claimed her first, but he didn't. I claimed her first, so she's my girlfriend. And what he did was he said, well, she can't be your girlfriend because I'm going to kiss her. And this dude leans over and goes up to the TV and kisses the TV screen with Tootie on it. And I can't lie, I was jealous because he had kissed my girlfriend. Neither one of us realized that we were kissing a TV screen and we really weren't kissing her. And of course, this is the 80s, so it's not like we can pause the TV. But yeah, his claim to fame was that he kissed my girlfriend Tootie. But as soon as he moved away from the TV screen, I kissed her and kissed her and kissed her. I'm not sure how many ultraviolet rays we got from kissing that TV that day, but yeah, I kissed Tootie on the screen. That's my girlfriend. Last but not least, man, probably my biggest childhood celebrity crush. You know her as Penny Gordon, aka Charlene Dupree, aka Janet Demeter Joe Jackson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Janet Jackson, man. I first laid eyes on Janet Jackson when she was on Good Times. She played Penny Gordon, the little girl who got abused by her mama, which was a scary episode, to be honest, because I didn't know about children getting beaten up and bruised by their parents. That was crazy to me. But yeah, man, she was so dope. She was so dope, man. I mean, it's Janet Jackson. I mean, I could do a whole podcast on my feelings for her at that time. It was amazing. And I mean, and then she grew and she became Charlene Dupree on different strokes. And she was Willis's girlfriend, and I wanted to fight Willis because she was really my girlfriend. Man, listen, it was funny, man. But yeah, Janet Jackson, biggest celebrity crush as a child in the 80s. And to be honest, she was everybody that I knew crushed on Janet. And so, even when I see her today, and Janet, at the time of this recording, she's in her 50s, she still looks good. One of the staples from the 80s, for an 80s baby such as myself, was the ability to go and get candy. I don't know any child in the 80s who didn't eat candy. We all ate candy. In fact, some of us ate too much candy. I remember going to the dentist and having like 3 cavities and my mom was livid. But But yeah, it was candy was so prevalent back then, because think about it. It was relatively cheap and we could relatively get our hands on it pretty quickly without, the permission or the acknowledgement from an adult. So if you got money, you could go to the store, because we would walk to the store all the time. The store wasn't far away. We would walk to the store, and the store was like, I guess if I want to put it in city terms, it's like a block away, 2 blocks maybe. Or if, like, when we lived in the projects, you had a candy lady. I don't care where you are in this world. If you grew up in the 80s, there was a candy lady nearby. And who was the candy lady? The candy lady was the lady who did just that. She sold candy. She sold candy illegally out of her house or out of her purse or whatever the case may be. She did not, the income that she received, I'm pretty sure she did not claim it on her taxes. But again, it's the 80s. Who cared? Nonetheless, man, I was pretty big on candy. Some of my favorites, and these are in no particular order: Blow Pops. I'm not big. I don't like chocolate candy, but I love Snicker bars. Snicker bars, Alexander the Great, Lemonhead, the proverbial Now or Laters, Jolly Ranchers, Boston Baked Beans. Boston Baked Beans probably my favorite candy of all time. Boston Baked Beans. And then, of course, we would have bubble gum. And with bubble gum, you had there was an assortment of bubble gums that you could choose from. Big League Chew, Hubble Bubble, Bubblicious, just to name a few. Then you had your penny candy. And again, all of this stuff was sold by the candy lady. So I had my fair share of candy. And, it's weird because to this day, like now, I eat very little. Like I might eat a piece of candy. I chew gum, but I don't eat candy. I might eat a piece of candy. I don't know. Maybe 2 times a quarter, maybe if that. And subsequently, and I've talked about it on a previous podcast, subsequently, my kids don't eat a lot of candy. Now my friends will say I'm depriving these kids, but I'm not. It's just like, it's not in me to eat a lot of candy. I'm not really big on sweets like that, like I once was. But in the 80s, candies were the shit. I would be remiss if I did not mention some of the dope music that happened and that we got down to in the 80s. I'm not going to go into detail because there'll be other music podcasts talking about it. But 3 of the biggest acts that I remember and I loved in the 80s, Michael Jackson, Prince, and New Edition. And those in no particular order. Prince, it goes without saying, is one of my favorite, probably one of the biggest getting tongue tied. Probably the biggest music influence I've had in my life is Prince. Prince and Stevie Wonder, probably 1 and 2. And who didn't love Michael Jackson back then? And then there was New Edition. New Edition, I remember seeing New Edition for the first time and not liking them because all of the girls in my class liked New Edition. And I hated New Edition. But it was dope. And I quickly got over my hate and became a fan. But yeah, it was so much dope music in the 80s. And again, as I mentioned earlier, having cable TV, I spent a lot of time watching MTV music, watching videos on MTV. This was long before MTV was showing TV shows. But yeah, a lot of time was spent in front of the TV and in front of a radio listening to music. And last but not least, man, for us 80s baby, it was a big thing for us, as I mentioned about the TV and having cable, watching some of our favorite TV shows. For us 80s babies, for me in particular, I watched a little bit of everything, which is interesting because I think I'm pretty sure I watched more TV then than I do now. But like I was really, really into sitcoms and TV and police shows and things of that nature. Some of the things I love watching, man, the A-Team, Miami Vice. And yes, I'll admit, we did like the Dukes of Hazzard. Didn't understand how racist it was, but hey, we were sitting there cheering on these dudes riding around with a Confederate flag on their car. Obviously the Jeffersons, Who's the Boss, big fan of the Golden Girls, and of course, Different Strokes. I loved Alice, Silver Spoons, and of course, The Cosby Show, probably my favorite TV show from the 80s. And, I'm not going to get into Bill Cosby, but, Cliff Huxtable was that dude. And last but not least, another show that debuted in the 80s, the back half of the 80s, A Different World. A Different World was the reason how and why I ended up on the HBCU campus of South Carolina State University. If A Different World never comes on TV, I probably don't go to an HBCU. So, but yeah, in a nutshell, that was the 80s. It was a great, great time. I just had to get on here and reminisce like Pete Rock and CO Smooth, man. It was a great time. Unfortunately, some of you missed it, and of course, it's not your fault, but hopefully this podcast gave you a little insight as to how things were back in the 80s and how it was for somebody who really viewed the time as a dope time. That's going to do it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5Gs.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.